So my theme for our prayer focus today is on the power of light, is on prayer as an energy, if you will, as an expression of light. And when we pray, right, we began our month of focusing on prayer, just exploring what does prayer mean to us. And for each one of us, that might be a little bit different. The heart of it is communion with God. And for all of us, that communion, that experience might be a little bit different. And from day to day, it might be different. Right? We can pray sort of an outward prayer to God somewhere. And we can pray an inner prayer to the God of our understanding, to that presence of light where we are. And we can also pray from that light, claiming, I am light, right? As the song by India Arie it explores, right? I am light. So if I am light and I am praying, and I pray as light, then I'm expressing that light outward. And oftentimes, when we are in more of a chaotic state or times of turbulence, it can feel more challenging to center into that awareness of light, to pray from that light. So that's where, you see, particularly, like I think of like movies, even like Eat, Pray, Love. Have you seen that film? And near the beginning, she just has this breakdown moment, and you see her just kind of like drop to the floor and like, dear God, if you are out there, help me with this. And it is this pleading sort of prayer in that moment. And I think when we're in those states, right, that feels like it's like a call for help. And many of us have experienced this type of prayer at some point in our life, right? This, wherever I am, I'm just needing that sense of peace in this. How do I make it through this? And then there's other times where we're feeling that awareness of that light. It's a little bit easier, when life is going smoothly, to be like, oh yeah, I am light. And so now I can pray out from that light. I can extend that light, whether we're praying for something in our own lives or praying for somebody else, praying for peace for someone that we know might be going through a difficult time, praying for health for someone else. And that type of prayer we can really see as almost this radiating type of energy, pushing that energy outward with love, with light. And that's what I wanted us to explore today, is that idea of the I am, that light center of our being in prayer. And what does that feel like to extend prayer from that space? So if you've been in a state of sort of more turbulent emotion, sometimes we just need something to center us first, that we can center into that light space, center into that presence. And of course, we have the opportunity to use creative materials here, and processing through our art journaling is a way of presencing ourselves, sort of stilling the mind, so we can tap into that sense of inner light. And then as we're creating the space for prayer, praying out from that. And so that can become a visual of like this radiance coming forward. So I've noticed this, unintentionally happening so often in my journals. This piece was done using water-soluble wax crayons, like an oil pastel, which sounds contradictory, but they actually do make them. And so you can draw with them first and then put a water, like a brush with water, like you were doing watercolor painting over it. And then it sort of softens the image. And you can see how sort of this maybe dandelion sort of flower here then has this sort of beams that radiate out from it. And I still remember this. It was done in 2011. And I still remember that process of creating this piece and this sense of lightness that I felt as I was creating it. So today in your journals, I invite you just to explore that sense of radiance, that sense of light, and how do you visually recreate sort of this extending a light outward, and imagining that this is like a prayer extending outward, so that in your prayer time, you can even visualize the image as a reminder of this is my center, then radiating out this energy of love, of light, of wholeness in all situations. So different ways you might do this. If you don't happen to have water-soluble wax pastels at your house, you could do this with any water-based media, watercolors, any type of paint. One of the benefits of using water would be that you can use the brush to flow it outwards, right? It becomes sort of this flowing experience, and you can just sort of take your brush from whatever your center point is and kind of brush out from there to create that radiance. But if you don't even have those water-based materials, you could use something more of a drawing tool like crayons or colored pencils, and start at the center point with your lightest area. So that's like creating this ball of light somewhere. And it could be off to the side, but just knowing that this is that center of light wherever it is on your page, and then creating outward from that point. So it'll be brightest at the center and it's radiating out. And it could even be done, spirals, and I'm sure you have your own unique way that will come forward for you as you move through the process, and allowing and trusting that. Maybe even want to use collage and create a mandala that radiates out from the center. However your heart wishes to express the idea of radiance today. Unity minister Eric Butterworth wrote in his book, The Creative Life, prayer is not turning on the light in God. It is turning on the light in yourself, and God is that light. So knowing that we are always connected to that God source, and that light, it's not like a light switch to flip on and off. It's like a remembrance that light is always available and always present to us. So our meditation today is going to be a little bit different in that I'm going to play a video of myself painting this type of prayer process. So starting with light, center, and then just it's a process painting, in that there was no set idea of this is what I'm going to create. It was just starting, like we're doing in our journals, right? Just starting the process and letting it unfold and seeing where it goes. So put some music to it and shortened it down. It's a 2 or 3 minute video. And we'll use that as our meditation time today, and then moving from that into your own creative expression in your journal page. And so let us close that with an affirmation. Right where we are. Let's affirm together. The light of God surrounds me, and the love of God enfolds me. Right where I am, light is, love is, truth is. And as we move into our experience of creative expression, let us express from the truth, the light that we are, affirming together, I am light, and so it is. So thank you in advance for your gifts. We know that divine love blesses those gifts and blesses the givers as well.